We are in the middle of our spring sports season. Let's see how our athletes are doing right now.
Well, we have to wear masks a lot and during the games and stuff. So, like when you're trying to breathe, it sucks breathing because you can't breathe that much. But yeah, that's about it.
It's affected it. We have to wear masks on our helmets now. We have a shortened season, which sucks, especially for the seniors, because we would definitely make a deep run in the playoffs.
We don't have as many games. We don't go to tournaments. We only have like 12 games out of like usually like at least 20. And there's no playoffs, so it kind of sucks. Like my coach said, it's like more like a regulation season, so.
Well, obviously the season's been shorter, and we're only playing conference games, and we were supposed to play some teams that were, or a team that was in Iowa at the beginning of the year, which would have been different, but obviously COVID stopped all of that, so yeah.
I think we have a lot of talent on the team. We just need to build chemistry, put the pieces together, and what's it called?
I think just staying together as a team and just getting through the season, and especially for the seniors, you want to stick together and make sure that they finish the season well with us.
Sounds like our athletes and teams are doing great right now. Let's check up on our next segment.
So at every sporting event, we always have Andy and the other athletic trainers always helping out, always making sure that the players are okay on the field or the court, wherever they need to be. So let's go and see how they're doing, or what it's just like to be them in general.
How do people become student aides?
Basically, just get a hold of me, email me, tell me that they're interested, and then I make sure that they're able to follow the guidelines, the athletic code handbook guidelines, and we get them started coming to the training room and coming to practices.
How long have you been training student aides and being the athletic trainer yourself?
I've had athletic training student aides here at Sterling High School since I started 14 years ago. I did have some when I was previously at Dixon High School that actually went on to become athletic trainers themselves.
How is it having more new student aides to train?
I like it. I like teaching new student aides different things, blood pressure, how to evaluate some things, wound care. It actually helps keep me on my toes, and it helps benefit them because it's something they're actually going to use as part of life.
Is COVID affecting the way you do things in the training room?
Yeah, a little bit. I normally clean tables, but now I have to clean them in between each student. Water is definitely different. I had to purchase some hands-free water spouts, as well as having each team have their own water jugs, and can't do the 6-packs of Gatorade bottles at halftime for football like we usually do. So it's a little bit easier for games for me, but that also has to do with the weather, since the weather for football is not hot this year.
How does it feel having this many student aides?
It's actually really nice. They help me out huge. If something happens and I'm busy doing one thing, they can actually still do other things that need to be done. So it's a great benefit for me.
How long have you been a student trainer?
This is going to be my 4th year. I started my freshman year wrestling season.
What are the best parts of being a student trainer?
The best part about being a student trainer would be working with the athletes and getting to learn things hands-on.
Are there any challenges being a trainer?
My biggest challenge being a trainer is dealing with Emily Sandrock.
How is the season going so far?
It's going pretty good. We've just seen a lot more injuries this year because people aren't necessarily conditioned how they were because of the big quarantine and the time off.
How has COVID changed the way you guys do things?
It really hasn't changed like our medical practice. It's just sanitizing more and disinfecting more, wearing gloves more than we were used to, and that's really the only change.
Well, that was cool to see what it's like to be one of those athletic trainers. Very good. I appreciate them, what they do out there for the field and for all the players. Well, let's pass it on to musical and see what they're up to.
That was interesting to hear from trainers. This year musical have been pushed back, but the cast and crew are ready for May's performance.
Has COVID affected the musical process? What it's mostly affected is how we can really show our emotions. It's a lot harder when you don't have your full face to show. So a lot of the time we're covering up with our mask, obviously, and we're not even a lot of the time, all the time. Covering up with our mask, making sure that everything is spaced out. The closest we'd ever get is during dancing, and even then we don't really have any parts where we get like in physical contact with anybody. The preparation for the audition. The preparation for the audition is just as the same as every other audition, because a lot of the time you're just preparing at home, making sure this is correct, get this done, get this correct. Because if it's not correct, then you're not going to do great on the audition. What made you audition for the musical? I've just done a lot of the musicals, so why wouldn't I? What role did you get? I am Charlie Brown. So, not the main character, obviously. The main character is Snoopy, who is played by Danae Palmer. Charlie Brown has a lot of issues with self-esteem, and so a lot of his part in the show is showing that he doesn't really have very high self-esteem at all. And then 5, what's something you enjoy about the musical? I really enjoy the fact that I get to hang out with a lot of the people that I don't really get to hang out with otherwise. It's a little weird being one of the only seniors. I think there's only 3 seniors, I believe. There's only 3 seniors in it, and I don't really talk to them other than one. But it is pretty fun. Some of them it gets a little wild sometimes, but we all calm down and we make sure we get everything done and correct. 6, what helps you remember your lines? A lot of the time, will just go over it and then find one key word for that line. So, lines like, what would happen if I traded him in for a cat? Well, then I usually put trade and cat as my keywords in my head. And then that allows me to remember the whole line. And a lot of the time, you don't have to get the exact line, as long as you are, along the same line. Or not even just along the same line. As long as it's along the same line, you are fine. Just make sure it's not too wordy. Yeah, that was it. Thank you.
Affected the musical process is the fact that it's really weird because we can't all rehearse on the same exact spot like we normally would, which would be at the auditorium. Same with where we're actually going to be performing the show, which will be at Hoover. And how's preparation for the audition? It was fairly easy. I didn't have to worry about doing any of the dances because we weren't going to be doing them this time. So it made it kind of a little bit easier and not as stressful as it normally would. What made me audition for the musical is the fact that I've been in choir since I was in 6th grade. It's something I wanted to try and do because this is my 2nd musical and I've really enjoyed it so far. What role did I get? I got ensemble, but I am going to be cast as or dressing up as Frida. And something I enjoy about the musical is just being able to be around people that are enjoying the same thing that I am enjoying and that have as much fun as I do.
Make sure to attend the musical on May 14th and 15th. Now on to Athlete Spot.
Wow, how interesting. Now, let's see 2 of our best athletes switch things up a little.
All right, Alex. Emily's going to teach you how to set a volleyball. How do you think this is going to go?
I think it's going to go pretty good. I feel like it's not going to be very hard.
All right, Alex is going to teach you how to run a route on the football field. How do you think that's going to go?
I don't think it's going to go very well.
All right, Alex, I'll start with you. How do you think that went?
I went pretty good. I think I could work on my spiking a little bit.
Oh, football went really well. I think I should play.
These athletes really could look into switching sports. For the Showing Stream, I'm Kel Ryan, signing off.